What is happening in our country and largely in our world is a divine judgment.
Last night, my friend Matt Walsh was hacked. His phone was hacked. In any case, late last night, people started tweeting out from Matt Walsh's Twitter account a bunch of just vile kind of garbage. It was all shut down pretty quickly. But the important thing to recognize about the radical left trans movement particularly is just how aggressive they are. When I say aggressive, I don't mean like aggressive in their point of view. They are. But I mean aggressive as in they will cross any line in order to go after people they consider to be their enemies.
But I want to deviate slightly from the scheduled programming as we begin in order to address some things that have been going on recently in my life, which maybe some of you may have caught wind of. So if you follow me on Twitter, oh, you have caught wind of it. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. If you were online last night, then you probably saw some rather interesting tweets coming from my account. A bunch of random, deranged ramblings, racial slurs, other incoherent messages. The left would say it's just a normal Tuesday on the Matt Walsh Twitter feed. But as it turns out, I was hacked. Someone gained access to my account, and they had fun for a short period of time before Twitter shut it down. And that was the end of the public show. But it was not the end for me, unfortunately. In fact, we're still not quite at the end. The Twitter hack was part of a much larger and far-ranging attack against me and my family.
While I disagree with Matt Walsh's Catholicism, I have great respect for Walsh's fearlessness in standing up for truth, particularly in regards to the LGBTQ movement. However, the consequence of Walsh's boldness is that he must endure the hostility and even violence of people who cannot tolerate the things he is saying.
So we are experiencing the judgment of God on our nation. It's not as if we're waiting for it. It's not as if it's nearby. We're in the middle of this judgment.
You ask people to define the word woman, and they can't. People get so angry at you that they will hack your phone, that they will provide security threats sufficient that Matt has to have pretty much 24/7 security on his house, that he's had to cancel speeches due to the level of security threats that have been levied against him.
The hacker took control of my phone, actually took control of the phone remotely. Accessed text messages, emails, all my accounts, everything. My entire life laid bare for this individual. Now, as expected, the left and many in the media were eagerly cheering on this series of felonies that were committed against me and my family. Reporters took to Twitter to openly solicit the hacker to send the reporters stolen information from my phone so they could use it to try to embarrass me. Prominent leftists and trans activists gloated, declaring that a criminal infringement on my privacy and safety is okay in this case because they don't like me. As we've learned, the severity of a crime is judged according to the victim's social credit score, and according to the left and how they tally it, my score is very, very low. There's nothing you could do to me that would not be justified as far as they're concerned.
The people who oppose the truth in this culture are not content to simply argue for what they believe to be true in the public square and to let the strength of the respective arguments win out. No, these are people who are more than willing to resort to and even celebrate violence.
But they're being unjustly, I believe, held 11 years in prison is insanity. Yeah. It's a misdemeanor, if that.
For what are you talking
for the abortion, the FACE Act? Have you?
No.
Oh, you haven't heard this?
No.
So,
I live in Africa.
Yeah, I know you live in Africa. So the FBI has rounded up 11 or 12 people now. One of them is like an 84-year-old grandmother who was praying at the entrance of an abortion clinic. At the time, the abortion clinic came and told them they had to go. Some of them were hit with a misdemeanor for trespassing, I think, and it was over 2 years ago. The DOJ has started opening up cases now of those misdemeanors that were just misdemeanor and dismissed, and they are now charging them with a FACE Act, which is blocking the entrance, and they are facing 11 years.
Wow.
We can't see the manifesto because the transgender lobby, which has far more power than you do, has pressured politicians to keep it hidden. But we can be certain what it says. Monday's victims were murdered because they were Christian. It's that simple. Transgenderists hate Christians above all, not because Christians are a physical threat. The third graders were not a physical threat, but because Christians refuse to join every other liar in our society and proclaim that transgenderists are God with the power to change nature itself.
And the tolerant left, they are so tolerant. Because the point here is when the left shows you who they are, when the radical left, not everybody on the left, when the radical left shows you who they are, believe them. So last night, after Matt's phone was hacked, a bunch of the the sort of left-wing blue checks on Twitter, the influencers, we might say, they came out of the woodwork in order to celebrate somebody being hacked.
Speaking of crimes, this is just our most recent unpleasant experience. The past year, especially since my film, What is a Woman, was released, we've been attacked in one way and then another, basically nonstop. We've been doxxed so many times, I've basically lost count. At this point, we've been threatened by message, by email, by snail mail to our house. People have shown up to our house. We've been blackmailed. It got to the point where we need 24-hour armed security in our house all the time because of this. And security is our only option because the system has no interest in prosecuting these people. In fact, there was a trans activist back when the movie first came out who tweeted, and I quote, "I am going to kill Matt Walsh." And we reported that to the police. And the local DA informed us that, well, a statement like, "I'm going to kill Matt Walsh," that's just harmless trolling. Kids being kids. No consequences at all. While the blackmailers and hackers and various criminal elements do their best to try and cow me into silence.
And Matt Walsh's phone being hacked is only the tip of the iceberg. There is so much more that big tech and the enemies of biblical truth are doing to shut down dissenting voices. Right before Walsh's phone was hacked, his YouTube channel was demonetized for a reason that could just as easily be applied to my own channel.
Now, these institutional efforts to silence me and us have continued all the way up to this week. So in fact, less than a day before I was hacked, we received word from YouTube that I had committed a series of alleged violations of their terms of service and also of their ad partnership guidelines, which will now lead to my demonetization and potentially being banished forever from the platform. Now, YouTube's ploy, what we have to understand about big tech, their ploy is to be intentionally vague about their guidelines. They won't tell you. They'll tell you you violated something, but they won't tell you exactly what it was or how that thing violates the guideline, because they want to afford themselves the latitude to demonetize and deplatform you whenever they feel like it.
The demonetization of Walsh's channel was extremely targeted, selective, and vindictive. Walsh was singled out to be punished and to become a warning for others who say similar things.
And that's really what's going on here. Of course, they just selected me and they said, well, it's your turn and we're going to look for a reason. In fact, they did tell us, though, they cited 3. There were a number of violations they claimed. They'd only tell us about 3 of them. All 3 of them, coincidentally, had to do with Dylan Mulvaney. Yeah, now I don't know. Just coincidentally, YouTube decided you're not allowed to say anything about Dylan Mulvaney. YouTube has decided that I'm not allowed to use biologically accurate language when discussing Dylan, or presumably any other trans-identified person. And for what it's worth, it doesn't seem that other channels are being held to this standard right now.
Walsh's last sentence there is key. He says that other channels are not being held to the same standard as his channel right now, and he is exactly correct. Many other channels, including my own, have used truthful language in communicating about people who identify as the opposite gender, and we have not yet been punished for doing this. However, if they came after Matt Walsh, it seems only a matter of time before they come for people like me also.
So we were told by sources at YouTube that a decision to target our channel had come from the highest levels of the company, and they're looking for something, a reason to take us out. Now, of course, there is a way out of this jam. The big tech, they're very generous, and they'll give you a potential off-ramp.
So Matt Walsh does have an opportunity to restore his channel, but only under particular conditions.
So if I simply respect the preferred pronouns and I stop accurately gendering people, then I can likely continue to do my show on the platform. I can get it remonetized after, a short probationary period. And I can continue making over $100,000 a month on YouTube ads, which is a huge part of how we produce and pay for the show. In other words, all I have to do, basically what they've told me, is I want to keep the money, that's fine, keep the platform. Just give up your integrity and your soul in its place.
And Walsh boldly refused to compromise concerning the truth he is speaking about the evils happening in the culture.
And to that I say, hell no. No way. I mean, there is nothing to even think about. I would rather be demonetized than use someone's preferred pronouns one time. I'd rather you kick me off of every platform and banish me to Mars than use someone's preferred pronouns. Now, so we have a decision to make, and I'm not going to give my show to YouTube if it means I have to cooperate with and affirm the very ideology I've been battling against all this time. But I'm not going to let YouTube chase me into obscurity.
It's not just Matt Walsh these people are going after. The very same week that these things happened to Walsh, similar things were happening to other hosts at the Daily Wire, such as Michael Knowles and Brett Cooper.
And this is not just my own personal policy. The Daily Wire as an organization has been under relentless attack. In fact, the very same week that I was demonetized and hacked, Michael Knowles was evacuated from a college campus in Pittsburgh because protesters were burning him in effigy. And then Brett Cooper was permanently banned from TikTok. Same day. Now, personally, when it comes to attacks, I would rather be burned in effigy than have my phone hacked. So I think Michael got the better end of that deal.
But people like Matt Walsh, Michael Knowles, and Brett Cooper are just the beginning. They are being targeted now because they are some of the most visible and most outspoken people saying these things. It's only a matter of time before these people come after smaller voices and channels like mine, because we are basically saying the same thing. And in fact, many Christians have already been experiencing hostility and violence from those who cannot tolerate the truth they are speaking.
Couple filed a complaint with the Colorado Civil Rights Commission. Colorado's Civil Rights Commission ruled in favor of the couple, describing the baker's refusal based on his religious beliefs as one of the most despicable pieces of rhetoric. That decision was upheld by the Colorado Court of Appeals.
Praying? I might be praying in my head out loud. So I'll ask you once more, will you voluntarily come with us now to the police station for me to ask you some questions about today and other days where there are allegations that you've broken public spaces protection?
If I've got a choice, then no.
Okay, well then you're under arrest on suspicion of failing to comply with the public spaces protection order.
Josh, first to you. You were arrested because you showed up on campus at a Catholic school for saying that men and women are different. Have we overstated that?
No, that's exactly what happened.
As Christians, we cannot and must not compromise concerning the truth, because it's only the truth that has the power to save and transform lost sinners from the depravity they are mired in. And what the world needs to hear is not a diluted or compromised version of the truth, but rather the full, pure, and powerful truth of the gospel of Jesus Christ.
No, we have a world to win. We have nations to save. We have dragons to fight. And it can be done, but it cannot be done in the power of a man. But it can be done in the power of God.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like these videos and want to help support this channel, the best way to do it is to just watch these videos until the end and click the subscribe button. Thank you so much for your support and encouragement.